for calling a straight game. Hey, we're live, Vinny. Welcome
Look
to
at
the
that, Mikey.
wel-
We
wel-
survived Thanksgiving. Look at that. How are you,
welcome.
Mikey? Right?
I'm good. And welcome to December. I'd like to be the very first to welcome you to the last month of the year.
Thank you. It's a year that's going by too fast.
This will be our daughter Kailani's birthday month. It'll be Christmas. It'll be Boxing Day. It'll be the winter solstice. We're going to cram a lot into this month, and then it's all. And then January we have nothing planned.
Well, you better cram what you can cram into this month. Pardon who you're going to pardon. Win who you're going to win from. Lose who you're going to lose to, and get everything done because it's. I'd like to say the new year will be a better year, but geez,
Get
I don't know about that,
get your
Michael.
get your get your paperwork in.
Yeah, get your receipts. Get your receipts in order, your paperwork in, and everything you think needs to be done because it doesn't seem like it's going to be pretty next year. So, but let's stick to this year. As a matter of fact, let's stick to this weekend. As a matter of fact, let's stick to yesterday. Well, first of all, let's do this though. How was your holiday, Michael?
Thanksgiving was delicious and fabulous. We were over at the Eddies' house. The Eddies are members of our family through marriage. Sandy and Billy hosted the evening. Their mother was there. Their brother was Matt Eddy was not. Their family was in Arizona.
Ah,
Kailani and Steve, my daughter and son-in-law, were there. Their two children, Kennedy, whose birthday was her ninth birthday, and Bo, Bradley Knight Musha. The Eddie kids were there. Drew Bella and her brother. Let's see who else was there. From Rhode Island, some of the Mushas had come out. Jessica Musha and her two children, Cameron and Parker and her husband James. Had to be somebody else there.
well,
It might have been. There was a general idea. We had two turkeys: a regular turkey and a smoked turkey. We had fabulous desserts and wonderful mashed potatoes were perfect. I'm partial to mashed potatoes with great gravy, and they were there. And it was sunny and temperatures in the upper 60s for dinner time. Sunny, beautiful view from Silver Lake, California, not hard by Hollywood. And I want to thank everybody for doing their part. Everybody had assignments, and they came through in flying colors.
and
So
everybody followed through, which is a good thing. Yeah, we had a nice, quiet but fun Thanksgiving. Here we watched. It is a tradition of mine. I get up every Thanksgiving morning at that I can at around 3:30 or 4 o'clock, and I watch the parade live. I don't wait for the taped, NBC thing. Nowadays with YouTube, you can. It's easy to watch it live. There's people who just set up out there with their cameras and film the thing instead of on 34th Street, where all the performing comes in and everything. And there's Al Roker and Hoda and Savannah. They're sitting there. It's um, it's just raw parade and raw New Yorkers. And to me, that's the story that the networks always miss about the Thanksgiving Day parade. It's not about the parade as much as it is about the people who have turned out to see the parade. And
and you don't need the edited version.
right, and I don't want the edited version. I want the version that showed me a few years ago that Barry Manilow got pissed off at a couple of people and started screaming F this and F that at him.
Now that's great. I would pay to see that.
He was not a happy camper a few years ago.
And there's always somebody left over for the St. Patrick's Day parade who's still going down the avenue and get out of their way. They're professional parade goers.
They're there because it's a parade. But so we got up and watched that. Then I made my first attempt at cooking a turkey at least in the past 5, 6, maybe 7 years. I'm a grandmaster flash of turkey cookers. I mean, I do a turkey justice, and I'm proud to say and happy to say that the turkey we got the turkey, and it was the kosher turkey, and we put it in the oven. We put the secret stuff on it. That we had a family revelation that the secret stuff that I use and the secret stuff that my sister uses, although we thought for years and years and years that we were using the same stuff, winds up that we haven't been using the same stuff. The version of the recipe I have was quite different than the recipe she had. But did we argue about it? No. Did we Democrat and Republican it? No. Did we Romney and Matt Gates it? No, 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 no. We put our heads together. We came up with the best of both solutions, and we made a solution and put it on the turkey, and the turkey turned out perfecto. It was an awesome, moist.
So did you use your version or your sister's version?
We combined the best of both. We said, okay, let's put this in, let's take that out, let's put this in, let's take that out, and bang, we made up that version. We basted the turkey in that version and used it for the gravy, and I don't think you could have tasted a finer turkey. I
Well,
always use kosher turkeys. So there's, I think I told a story last week about finding the kosher turkey
yeah, Joe's.
at Trader Joe's, the Glatt kosher turkey. So we were happy. That's 75% of the success right there. It's just finding a kosher turkey.
Getting a good bird.
And I did something this year that I hardly ever do, but I did it this year because I thought it was the wiser thing to do. I went to Costco and I got the big tub of mashed potatoes, and I got the big tub of the bean salad with the stuff on it, the crunchy onions. I got some extra crunchy onions, and did a. I made my own stuffing with sausages and oysters. But again, I because my sister was here, and it had been a real long time since we had cooked a turkey together. I usually use Italian sausage, hot Italian sausage. She
Yeah.
reminded me that my mother used to use um, a park sausage. More park sausages, Mom, please. So we couldn't find parks, so we used the next best thing, Jimmy Dean, and roll those Jimmy Dean hot sausages out into it and chop them up and put them in. Tasted perfect, man. There was nothing wrong with that turkey. All the accessories to the turkey, everything.
That's the part that I was looking forward to having in my imagination was the stuffing.
Yeah, and my sister won't eat the stuffing out of the turkey. She has to have a separate pan of stuffing, and she
Yeah.
likes crisp stuffing,
Yeah.
where I like a loose, wet stuffing. So we have two types of stuffing, and everybody was happy. We had me, my sister, her husband, my friend Bill, and my daughter, and we sat around and we watched. We ate dinner and watched March of the Wooden Soldiers,
But I don't love him.
which was a tradition in our house. For when we were growing up, every Thanksgiving that would come on Channel 11, and that's what we watched. So we watched that. Then we watched it. I think we watched a football game sandwiched in there. So we watched Miami because Bill is a Miami guy, and so
Which
we watched that.
turned out to be not much of a game.
Not much of a game, no. No, wasn't a lot of happy people roaming around here, unless you're a Seahawk fan, which we are. So the Seahawks came back, and we'll get to that in a second. So Thanksgiving was a roaring success in the fact that we all had just a grand time. There were no political arguments. There were no um, anything. Everybody just ate, watched the movie, watched another movie after that, went out, went for a walk, came back, and that was it. It was a very thankful Thanksgiving. I was thankful for that we didn't have just the kind of regular bull crap that goes on
Did you
around
have
Thanksgiving.
Did you have seconds?
I did not have seconds. I did not. I did take an extra piece of pumpkin pie. The pumpkin pie was great. It was a Costco pumpkin pie that was on sale for $5.98.
That's a bargain right there.
Oh yeah, which was a huge pumpkin pie, not the small one. I mean, I'm talking about the huge
Family
pumpkin
style.
pie, 5.98. You couldn't beat it. And so I had a second piece of pumpkin pie and some whipped cream. We made up our own whipped cream, put it on there, and it was. You couldn't ask for any better, Michael. It
Now,
was.
did you enforce Florida's key lime pie ruling, which is if you can see the pie, not enough whipped cream?
We saturate the pie. There's a couple of people in our crowd that don't like to saturate, but when I serve it, I saturate it. So
That's the professional
we
way to
get
do
around
it.
it like that. But yeah, no, I know there are people who don't like. The only thing that I felt bad about is we didn't. Oh, and we had a beautiful antipasto platter that I made up with fine cheeses and meats and garniera and just with the olives and dates and figs and just a Roman treat.
I,
So but we didn't do the baked ziti, we didn't do the ravioli, we didn't do the kind of other Italian stuff that usually gets plugged in on Thanksgiving because so we can tell everybody we're Italian.
well,
So,
after potatoes and dressing and turkey and bean salad,
yeah, it
what do
was
you want?
so much.
Yeah.
You almost feel guilty eating it, you know? You
Yeah.
you're sitting there eating this huge turkey platter and there's some guy standing on the corner of the supermarket looking for $5 for his kids. You know, it almost makes you feel guilty sometimes eating it. Not guilty enough not to eat it.
No, not total guilt.
Not total guilt, but enough that you think about it the next day and you think, well, Tuesday's the day of giving, which is tomorrow, and what can I do to help out? Where can I help out?
Well, remember when you get started in the right direction, not to go too far. This is where Joe Biden made his mistake. He pardoned the turkeys before Thanksgiving, and then he sort of got the hang of it, and he just kept going.
You know what? Good for him. Good for him. You know what? I mean, these grifting bastards are attacking our system of justice. Why not get his son to pardon? Why not give it to his son? Why not let him? I mean, did his son do anything that anybody else would have gotten prosecuted for? I think not. At
The
best, it's an add-on charge to something else when you're looking to make sure that the person goes away for something.
something that the Biden, something that the incoming Trump administration is going to have to deal with, and I thought about it this morning. You don't tell the secret police that you're going to remake them and shut them down and break them up and send them all to jail. They're the wrong people to tell that to because they're secret police. You don't tell the CIA spies and undercover agents and black ops people that you're going to find them, jail them, and end their careers because their job is to avoid that.
Right, at all costs.
And the cost is not something that they're prepared to pay, it's something that you have to pay. You pay the costs. So, Kash Patel and crazy woman from Hawaii, whatever her name is,
Oh
Tulsi
yeah,
Gabbard, have got to understand that they're making enemies of the people who disappear in the face of their enemies, who follow their enemies home and figure out where they live, who know their contacts, who know their interactions, who know their inner wishes, who know what they want for their birthday, who know more about them than they know about themselves, and they don't arrest them. They use that information to weaken their position, and they don't understand that. Among all the things they don't understand, that's one of the chief things, or else they wouldn't make these idle threats in advance of taking office. Because who's if you want the FBI and the CIA to follow you around looking for every little thing you did wrong, one thing you could do is say that you're going to shut them down
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
arrest them.
Well, the police tend not to call the drug dealers and tell them they're coming before they come, right?
It
I mean, the big
depends.
rule is they show up outside with a couple of vans, park around the corner, kind of go through the back alley or the backyard or some kind of way that you don't see them right away.
If you notice on television, no one ever covers the back. That's how the leader always gets out. He just runs through the warehouse and gets out the back.
Yeah, I don't know. Most of the shows I watch, they cover the back. They always send them two guys, you know, that signal, whatever that means. I think that's the universal signal for cover the back. So I would say that some, maybe even 50% of the cases, it depends on who's going through the front door. If Donnie Wahlberg is going through the front door, maybe they don't cover the back. They want because they want his handsome mug on the thing. If Andy Sipowicz is going through the front door, maybe they're not too worried about having Andy Sipowicz.
Did Sipowicz wear his vest before? Did he slip into a vest before going through the front door?
Oh, I think so. Yeah,
Because usually they put Bobby through the front door because he's quicker on his feet.
yeah. But then as time went on, he didn't trust the other partners as much. So it wasn't until I don't think it was until John came along uh, that they really started sending him through the front door again. Um, so I don't know.
You notice on television, there's another aspect to that scene. Outside, there's 20 guys in uniforms and submachine guns. You're never going to see those guys again. Outside, they're there. They go through the front door and they go left, they go right, and they disappear.
Yeah,
The lead notices that the boss, the one guy that they have to get, is getting away. He's getting through the side of the warehouse and out the back, and he chases him, and that's where the fun goes. Now, what about the 20 guys that would help him find that guy? Or maybe one of those 20 guys was faster than Sipowicz was on his feet. Nope. You shall never see them again. They go left, they go right, they disappear into the ether. They disappear into the bowels of the warehouse and are never found again.
but if they
Maybe
go into a house, you generally do see him again. I was thinking about this as you were talking about this. I mean, I remember if they go into an apartment or a house, you generally do see him again because you can't lose those. Warehouse, you can lose people. It's not that hard to lose some people. But if you're standing out, outside of somebody's door or somebody's two-bedroom apartment or something like that, it's a little bit more. It's a little tougher to lose those people that you sent in.
one of your first jobs, if you're one of these guys with the vests and the automatic weapons and the helmet and the goggles, you have to clear the apartment. You have to find out if anybody's in the other room, anybody's in the closet, anybody's hiding in the
Clear,
bathtub. And to do
clear.
that, all you do is stand in the middle of the room and yell clear. You don't look anywhere. You don't search anything. You just say clear.
Just say clear. And look, that usually until some guy pops out of the closet that you missed, or he was hiding behind the leather jackets.
I rest my case. Or the kidnap victim has been in the closet all along and never said anything. And they find him the next day when the medical examiner's taking the bodies out.
What was the one where she was in Saving Kimmy Schmidt? Was it? It was on I think Netflix or maybe it was Amazon. I forget one of those channels, and it was a similar story where they'd gone in and they didn't find her. She was in a closet for I don't know 5 years or something like that. So she had to come out and relearn all about life. It was a great show, and but she had that problem. That exact problem is they went and they found everybody else, but they left her there for a while. I don't know how you do that, but
If you
yeah,
notice, if you're dialing around on Netflix or any of the other streaming areas, you're going to see a number of procedural dramas that are done in Spanish or Swedish or German or Polish. I saw one recently. And it's not the translation that gets me, and it's not the subtitles if they don't dub it. It's the European pace as opposed to the American editing pace, which is clipper, quicker, faster. Things are moving. Introduction of characters is not doesn't take 30 minutes to find out who this guy is. We find out in one scene who he is and what he's like,
Yeah.
and you have to adjust yourself to the European flow, or you can't enjoy the show. Last night we saw one from Spain, and the setup took 45 minutes, but it should have taken 20 at tops. And it's just that they go long in a pinch,
Yeah.
where the American version goes short in a pinch. What happened there? Who's that guy? Why does he say that? Who's this person? Well, we introduced him once. We're not going to introduce him twice. And so you have to pay close attention. You have to pick up on the clues better, especially if it's mystery or police drama. But in the European versions, you have to be patient and let the thing unfold. And it's harder to do sometimes. I noticed it last night.
Well, I'm a little bit, excuse me, a little. I haven't gotten into as many TV shows as I've wanted to because I've been so busy watching the news. But now that that whole thing has changed for me, and I'm just trying not to watch as much news anymore, I'm starting to try to discover some new TV shows, some stuff that I can actually watch. And so I watched. I started on two shows this weekend. The new medical comedy on NBC, St. Dennis or
Mm-hmm.
Saint Denis, Denis is it or
Saint Denis.
yeah, Saint Denis, I think it is. Anyway, it's a hospital in an unnamed city that appears to be Portland, Oregon, and it's a decent cast. It's a decent show. Uh,
You think the
but
doctors
it's
have
using
medical degrees?
every joke has been written there already years before.
By Milton Berle.
Yeah, there's a lot of just really predictable outcomes and really predictable characters and so on and so forth. But it was it was funny. I mean, I laughed in a few places, so I'll probably go back for another helping. I don't know. I recommend it yet.
It's broad humor, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's just I'm sure that Ken Levine will get credited with a few jokes somewhere in this thing because there's you could see that they're trying to set that kind of mash ensemble.
Even
Um,
the title is a joke. Saint Denis was the patron saint of Paris, and he apparently had his head chopped off, walked a half an hour to the other side of town carrying his head. When he got to the place where he was going, he preached a sermon for an hour before dying.
really,
So, quite a remarkable fellow when you think about it. If all that
that's
is true,
that's a pretty remarkable feat, I would have to say.
his feet were fun too, yeah, but his head was really remarkable.
So I watched that, and then this is the kind of effect it had on me. Is there was it's not a comedy. But it is kind of a comedy in some ways. The White Lotus. Have you seen that?
Mm-mm.
It's on HBO, and it's about a hotel in Italy or Sicily, actually. And it's got a couple of good. F. Murray Abraham is in it, and Michael Imperioli, and a lot of young people that I've never seen before. Aubrey Plaza is in it.
Oh yes,
I like.
she's crazy.
Yeah, well, I like. And so I watched the first two episodes of that, and that looks really interesting. I know it was a hit last year, and everybody's waiting for the second
Second
season of
season.
it. But I'll go back for that. I'll go back and watch that some more because it was funny. It was poignant. little predictable. You can tell a few things that are going to happen here already. You kind of feel it, um, especially between a couple of the couples.
So some people work at the hotel, some people are staying there.
Yeah, some people work there, some people are staying there, some people are hookers, some people are, there's a piano playing lounge lizard. There's some interesting characters, and to throw it all on top, many of them are Italian from the other side. It has kind of I don't know. I just thought, and who is that woman? It's oh man, I can't remember her name, but she's been in a ton of things. She was in all of those spoof movies. Jennifer,
Lawrence.
no, 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 no. She's a rather large woman, and she's in this thing, and she seems to be trying to play a more serious role here, and it's to mixed effect. I know if you saw her, you know who I'm talking about. Anyway, it was a good. It was not time wasted. Uh, as far as that, the time wasted yesterday was watching anything that I liked in the National Football League.
Wow, I know what you mean.
That was time wasted.
It's been an awful year for a lot of teams.
I I'll take the 49ers first, Michael. What the hell? It's your team, man. I saw many of
Well,
their stars out there, many of their um, people that were on that team when they went to the Super Bowl.
George Kittle's the only one that can actually play right now. Debo Samuel can, but they're not throwing to him as much. Brandon Ayuk out. Christian
Yeah,
McCaffrey, second injury, out. The left tackle out. Um, and young players filling in. We've had ups and downs at quarterback from due to injuries. Um, Merciless stripping away of all the top players on the team. They just can't keep a healthy team on the field. And when you thought that McCaffrey was having the best game of his season, which he was, he hurt his knee on the damn frozen tundra in the series before he landed on that, and that scooted up. And you saw him go down on his own recognizance, his own accord. He knew the knee was not right, and he's probably out for the season.
yeah.
So things are not going to get better for the 49ers until next year. They
No,
might as well. They got to bring everybody back and hope that they can stay healthy.
it has that distinct feeling. Although I know that in 1982 it was a cocaine fueled problem more than anything else. But it has that distinct feeling of the year after when just nothing goes right. You had this great year where everything except the final result of the final game goes right. You get to the championship, and
Well, how many guys on the team? There's only is it 40? Is that the head count?
yeah, I think 40 is the roster. Yeah,
There's just no room for anybody to get enough snaps to be an efficient, well seasoned backup. There's just not time in the season. 49ers have three running backs who used them all. We were down to the third running back before long last night because we couldn't run the number two guy in that pathetic weather. Remember
isn't that beautiful?
earlier in the season, they delayed a game for an hour because of lightning. They didn't delay that game at all. They said, "We're playing. It's going to be
That
fun."
was
There's
a
no
beautiful game. I love that. I mean, that's football weather to me.
Well, the funny thing is, the Bills appeared to be having a wonderful time. They could throw the ball, they could kick the ball, they could pass the ball, they could advance the ball, they could run where they wanted, they could get into the red zone and score. And the 49ers could do none of those things.
Well, they
Couldn't
play.
run
I
it,
mean,
couldn't pass it, couldn't catch it, couldn't kick it.
yeah, the Bills play. Um, I don't know, at least 8 of their games a year in that weather. So I don't know if they're more used to it or they just have better spikes or I don't know
And it was one of
why.
those games where the snow waited for the game to start. Game starts, good. Kickoff, let's start snowing. What should we do? Let them get used to it for the first half. We're going to snow more in the second half.
Well, I had to laugh at the 49er fans who paid, I'm sure, a phenomenal amount of money to go to Buffalo, to go to Orchard Park.
There's probably
And
no direct flights. That's two connecting flights stopping in
yeah,
Dallas
at best you're
and New
going
York.
from, at best, and if you're going to either LaGuardia or Kennedy, and then flying up from there. Secondary, you're going to Pittsburgh,
Or
and you're
Newark.
flying up from there, or going to Pittsburgh. If you do the smart thing, really, go to Pittsburgh and drive up. It's a 2.5 hour drive, and by the time you get there and everything like that, it's not that bad. Except again, you're dealing with lake effect weather conditions.
Yeah,
But
driving in that weather wouldn't have been a picnic.
yeah, I had to just feel bad almost for these people, or sad for these people, because they paid all this money for these tickets, and they get to Rich Stadium, whatever they're calling it these days, and their seats aren't shoveled. They shoveled the pathways that they could get to the seats, but the 20 inches of snow are still in their seats.
And
Nobody
Vinny,
shoveled that snow. If you
and you
want
got
to
to,
sit in your seat, you got to shovel your own snow.
and if you don't sit in your seat, you got to stand in somebody else's snow. You just stand in it all for the whole game. Tell me how your feet feel today.
Yeah, it's just there's no way you're not coming out of that thing frozen.
I
One
like
way
the
or the
snow.
other.
I like the snowballs when they score a
Yeah,
touchdown. Bing!
yeah.
It's like
I,
popcorn.
I like the snowballs when they score. I mean, listen, Buffalo's a great football town. It's one of those towns where there's that relationship. I mean, we used to talk to that guy Elio DiPaolo all the time from the restaurant. The guy that played, unfortunately, got killed in front of his own restaurant. Got hit by a car, and but it's one of those towns like Cleveland, like Pittsburgh, like Cincinnati, where the team is so much a part of the community. They really, it's one or the other. The identification is with the team. Now that's going to change next year or 2 years actually, when they open up that new stadium, because as we were talking about on Friday, when they build these new stadiums, they don't integrate the crowds anymore. I mean, you got a rich stadium. There's no, I don't think, if there's luxury boxes, there's very, very few of them. But the guy who's the president of the meat company, or the president who's running the plant there for General Motors, he sits in the same seats that his workers do,
And lucky to get them.
and lucky to get him. And there's a communication there. There's a synergy there. That's going to end in 2 years for
And,
Buffalo.
and it won't be a covered stadium, which it should be with the money spent, but that increased the price so much. It'll be like 65% covered.
Yeah, yeah. I remember them saying that. It's not. Yeah, it's not going to be a. It's going to be kind of like we have here,
So depending on
where
which way the lake snow is coming from, your side of the stadium is going to get the snow, and the other side of the stadium ain't.
well, the great thing about Buffalo is you have the meeting of the lakes there. So you just, whichever way it's coming from, it doesn't make a difference. You're going to get your ass kicked. So, but listen, they look good. Buffalo looks good. You can't knock them. And then there was the Seahawks and the Jets.
How did they play?
Uh, the Seahawks played the Jets, and there's probably a way you could explain that game
In New York.
in New York. Yeah, at MetLife Stadium, Part Two sequel, and there's a way you could explain that game. I don't have the words to do it.
Was it
We
sad or was it aggravating?
it was horrible. It was a horrible football game for both sides. Both sides seem to come up with unbelievable plays, unbelievable penalties. Anything that could happen, it could go wrong for a team, happened. in that Seahawk game yesterday. Now the Seahawks came out on top in the game after being behind the entire game.
Twice. The Jets blew two leads.
Yeah, yeah. Which they're that's a trademark of the Jets.
They're capable of doing that. They can blow
They,
three leads if
they're
they
only
put their mind to it.
capable. They excel at doing that. They probably do that. They probably blow leads better than any team in the league. And the look of frustration on Aaron Rodgers' face yesterday uh, told a story of this franchise.
Is that football or is that karma, Vinny? Did he ask for this in many ways throughout his career?
Well, it certainly seems like he's getting paid back for something. I don't know what it is. He doesn't seem to be uh, the kind of teammate that you would want on your team. There was one point where he was getting in the referees' faces, and I truly thought that he was, telling them, "Oh, you'll see, I'll get you guys fired today." I mean, he just seems to carry that air of attitude. You know,
As he said in the press conference, I am your retribution.
did he say that?
I thought he did. Did I have him confused with someone?
Maybe so, but yeah, he just didn't. I mean, listen, he can throw a ball. There's no doubt in our minds that he can throw a ball,
And he can
and if you
overthrow a
put
ball.
some players around him that can guard him and it can give him an opportunity to do something right, he's going to be successful. But I mean, to be honest with you, how many players can you say that about in the NFL? There's a lot of players that could be great quarterbacks if they had the right players around them or an offensive line that could block for them. It's what you do when you don't have those things that make you a superstar, right? And he showed me again. He had another day showing me not much of anything. And
He had a troubled game, and his powers of accuracy evaded him. They failed him yesterday.
he couldn't seem to throw on the mark. He couldn't seem to get the ball where he wanted to. Now, despite themselves, he had a couple of great plays. I mean, Gino showed himself for what he is for most of the game too, is throwing picks and fumbles and everything else that happened. Um, you know, d- During a game that the Seahawks seem to be getting noted for. Now, yeah, there it does. People will say, "Well, it doesn't matter how you win. You're still atop the division. You had two other teams in the division lose yesterday." Bada bada bada. But the reality is they looked just. I mean, both teams looked horrible. It was a game that you wanted your money back for watching. Nobody was better for playing it or watching that game yesterday. If that game would have disappeared from the face of the earth, and all the video and all of the radio and everything would have disappeared for that game, nobody would be worse for it.
So there should have been an announcement saying, pending the NFL rules, we're cutting away from this game because it's just too ugly.
We're not coming back. We're cutting
We're not
away and we're
coming
not
back.
coming back because players on both sides are going at each other. There was just, again, there was this feeling of this is the worst possible game that we could present to somebody. And if this is the best NFL product that we have to offer, if these guys are even sniffing at the playoffs, something is seriously wrong. And I know that the fans on both sides will say, well, uh, you know, there was one point where I, I, I forget his name, the announcer, not the color guy, because the color guy was Mark Sanchez, the former quarterback of the Jets. But there was one point where the announcer said that the Jets season rested on this next play. And I was like, dude, are you watching the same game Not only that, you're watching the same sport that I'm watching. And these guys were cooked. They're 3-7 now, 3-8, but they're 3-7. What in the world of sports leads you to believe that this team could win 6 games in a row and become competitive in the National Football League?
Not going to happen. Not going to happen.
Not totally not going to happen. I mean, at least if you say that about the Seahawks, you say, well, they are the division leader, and
Thanks to the inept playing of the Rams and the 49ers, who
yeah,
just cannot play football. And that's another one of my adages that fits perfectly into today's discussion of football, and that is, look how much talent it takes to have a truly awful team.
yeah, it takes some
Takes a
high
lot of
money
talent.
and some skilled people.
And it takes Pat McAfee and Joe Rogan with Rogers. The one thing he won't change is his weekly appearance on the important shows that, in his mind, keep him top of mind for New York football fans. And he's painted himself into a corner now, because next time he goes to one of those shows, he's going to have to answer the question: are you playing next year? Can you take a hit? Do you know how bad you looked? Take a look at the passes you threw. Your inaccuracy cost the team 2 touchdowns. What was really going on there, Aaron?
Well, he may wind up getting run out of New York.
He may
I
never
mean,
he may never play another snap. Who's the backup?
beats me, but I don't think I don't think he was well yesterday. I think there was something going on with him as well.
So they couldn't even bring him in for garbage time.
Yeah. So, but again, there was no garbage time because the Jets were ahead in that game up until the last couple of plays of the game. The Jets had an opportunity, should have by all craziness, the Jets should have won that game. I mean, several times yesterday, the Seahawks eschewed field goals for going for it on 4th and long. And you kind of scratch your head and go, "What the heck was going on there?" What did Gino show anybody, or anybody on that team show anybody? Now there was a couple of great plays that happened early on in the game, and then there was, of course, a couple of really stupid plays, penalties, just stupid penalties. Um, Murdered the Seahawks, but yet the last couple of minutes of the game, they were able to pull it together enough to win the game. And that's what it'll look like in the books. Nobody's going to, unless you watch that game, which you shouldn't be allowed to. Um, you wind up, saying, "Oh, the Seahawks did a great thing. They won on the road and they won."
Ain't
Which,
like that. That's
yeah,
true, but it's also untrue.
you can certainly say that they went on the road and they won. But boy, oh boy, if you saw it, you'll remember that game.
Good
You
golly,
will
Miss
remember that
Molly.
game.
Yeah.
So
It were ugly.
yeah, it was. Yeah, it just.
Except for the big lineman going 92 yards. That was hilarious. That was
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah, that was funny. And there was a couple other plays in that game, but for the most part, both teams looked like they were battling each other to lose the game. It almost looked like somebody had money on the other team, and it was sad. If you're a Jets fan, it was sad because you wanted to see some spark of life. I mean, I don't know what idiot would believe that a team that was 3-7 would have a shot at the playoffs, but I
They're going
guess
to
in theory,
line up tonight.
mathematically, they would.
Mathematically, they did, but math and football don't go together that well. You can ask the guys at MGM Bets. They'll tell you about math and football.
Yeah, yeah, they'll tell you they have commercials on it. They'll tell you exactly what you want to know. So I don't know. I'm sure there was somewhere there was some good games in the NFL yesterday. None of the ones that I picked out to watch had anything going for it. Had much of anything.
And as for
And
Orchard Park, was that one of the coldest games this year? We think. It wasn't even below. It was 30 degrees at game time. I'm sure that it was probably closer to 20 by the time it was over.
yeah, I don't know if that was one of the. I mean, they had some pretty cold games up there in where was it? Green Bay. They've had some pretty cold games this year.
It gets cold there, like you do.
Yeah, they play out. They play outdoors. I don't know what's going on in Chicago, but I thought they had a cold game or two in Chicago. Um, but this is the time of year where now we'll see. Because there's a bunch of players a bunch of teams that are going to be playing outdoors in the cold that are in contention.
And it's the time of year for Chicago to take a all-star college quarterback and turn him into a has-been.
Yeah, they seem to excel at doing that, don't they? So it'll be it'll be interesting to see what transpires because again, you have a team now. I've always been in favor of, and the Seahawks now have won three in a row. So all of a sudden there's life among the fan base again. I said that I hate that phrase.
Fan base?
Fan base. What is a fan base?
It's
The
the
fans.
it's a 2-inch platform that keeps the fan from tipping over.
Yeah, it's such a stupid term. The fan base. What is the fan base?
What do you want to call it? Fandom amongst
Fans.
them,
They're just the fans.
the
There's not a
fanatics.
fan base. They don't stand on platforms. They're trying to steal a political term that I don't even know what it politically the base. I guess the people that really believe in the cult leader. But now we're using the fan base, and I just don't. I think it's a horrible term. It just bothers me. It's like it's like it bothered me like walk off home run bothered me. It's a game winning home run, not a walk off home run.
And this game is over.
Somebody could hit a home run and walk off the field out the through the tunnel and out, and they haven't won the game.
Now you got to touch the bases.
Yeah, suppose somebody hits a home run, comes around, touches all the bases, and then walks out and says, "I'm quitting baseball. I hit a home run." Goes up through
I'm
the
done.
tunnel, gets in a taxi cab, and heads for the airport in his uniform. That's a walk-off home run, isn't it?
You don't see those very often.
No, but whereas if you hit that home run and it goes over the fence and you come around, what have you done in the bottom of the ninth? And you're one run behind or however many it takes to get more than the other guy. You've hit a game-winning home run. Uh, Used to be a stat called game-winning RBI. I don't know if they even keep it anymore. But
Interesting.
that was always, to me, that's what that was. It was a game-winning RBI. It was a game. It was the hit that won the game for the team.
Batted in by Joe Cologne.
Batted in by whoever batted in. It used to be a lot of fun when the pitcher would bat them in, as many have over the years. That was the ultimate thing when a guy. I mean, I remember a game, a doubleheader in 1969 and 1970, where the relief pitcher hit. I can't remember who it was, but the pitcher hit the winning run in or drove the winning run in the first game, and then drove the winning run in the second game.
Because he wasn't done, of course.
So, he hadn't gotten to his 105 pitches yet, or whatever it was. So they sent him out there. Go out there until your arm falls off. And he was happy to do it. Yeah, okay.
I'm going to use Tino Martinez's bat and go up there and get a hit.
Yeah, go up there and get, hit the ball, put the ball in play. So to me, it's always that phrase, that term, walk off home run has always bothered me. It makes me think that a player is going to get one of those Sundays in the dugout. Remember those Sundays you used to get at the fair and it had the square thing in the cone and the chocolate dripping and the cherry on top, and they called it a walk away Sunday. Well, that's what the walk off RB. That's what the walk off home run reminds me of. The guy should be
Well,
standing there. Ice cream cone.
undeniable. The fan base loves the walk-off home run.
But I'm old, you know. Nobody cares what I think anymore.
Isn't it possible that you're right, though?
Could be, but if yeah, it is possible. Yeah, and you could probably go to the old man section of the ballpark. Um,
And where is that? Is that behind third base?
it depends on which ballpark you're in. It's usually behind the home dugout. Usually behind the home dugout, halfway up the aisle. And if you are upstairs, if you can't afford a ticket downstairs anymore, it's usually the fifth to seventh row in the first section, and the seventh to 11th row in the top tier of the ballpark, behind the home dugout.
Now, do winning teams have their home dugout on the third base side or on the first base side? I noticed that the Yankees have their dugout on the first base side. The Dodgers and the Giants have their home dugout on the third base side. Where should it be, and where do winning teams have their dugout?
Well, that's a good question because the Mets um, have their uh, dugout on the first base side. They have as long as I remember. They've always had it on that
The
side.
Giants had it on the first base side at Candlestick Park all those years, but when they moved to the new park, Pac Bell or whatever the name is now, it's on the third base side, and they seem to have better luck there. Not last year,
Maybe
though.
maybe maybe it's really just about that. It's about because they don't tend to change when the managers. I mean, they tend to. I don't know who makes the decision initially at the ballpark when they build the ballpark, but I don't see that many of. I think the Yankees did change their dugout position at one time. I kind of vaguely remember that.
Old Yankee Stadium, they were on the third base side, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, no, no. I think they're on the first base side in old Yankee Stadium. Yeah, I think they're on the first. Yeah, I don't think they changed that. Yeah, they're on the first base side. So I don't know who makes that decision, or if if you have to apply to the league to get it. I always thought in the old ballparks it was the easiest to get to the clubhouse.
Right.
Because generally those clubhouses were built on one side of the ballpark, except in the polo grounds where the clubhouse was 470 feet away.
A country mile that way.
Up the stairs. and you didn't want to have to make that walk
Must be something
after.
about polo. Must be something about the game of polo that I don't understand because they to get off the field, even with the help of a horse, you got to go that way and then up the stairs and then into the apartment, and God knows what happened once you disappeared from view.
Yeah, for my love of Mike, I couldn't tell you, why they put it out there. I guess it was the shape of the stadium. They were working on kind of limited ground there. They had a very small piece of land to, in those days, most stadiums were built on one city block. So whatever they were doing had to fit into whatever size that block was. It wasn't like these grand stadiums that had um, as much land as they needed, and they were going to put a shopping mall next to it, and this and that and the other thing. It was, that they wrangled a piece of property out of the city, and whatever quirkiness that piece of property. Matter of fact, in a lot of cases, that's why they got the lot to begin with, because the city cut a deal with them to give them the lot and say, okay, build your ballpark here. But it was usually downtown.
Tampa Bay's got a problem because their damaged stadium that was hurt in the hurricanes is nowhere near being ready for baseball. They're going to play in the Yankees spring training facility that seats only 11,000. That's a problem. And as for the cost of repairing the stadium, the city said, we gave you this much to build a new stadium. We're not going to give you any more. And the Tampa Bay owners saying, well, that's not enough to fix what we're doing. So we have a problem. You're going to have to give us more than you agreed upon. But we can't do that because it was all voted upon and it's all written and it's all agreed to. You're going to have to pay the over amount for the repairs. And they said, well, we're not going to. And they're at rest. So when they finish with the Yankees facility, there still will be no agreement to have fixed and repaired their stadium, which was going to be upgraded. They already had an agreement with the city. Now the team is balking and continuing that agreement, and it's going to be just like rich owners try to screw Tampa Bay, and that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, as we have said on this show many times, I don't know that the climate right now, and especially now is going to be such that municipalities are going to want to throw money at baseball teams to build stadiums. I just don't think the appetite for it is there
And I
right
don't know
now.
where they can move. Where can Tampa Bay go? Where can they find a
Well,
new
one of the
home?
initial suggestion that was put out there when this all came about was Oakland.
Of course.
Is let them go to Oakland and play there for 2 years until they get it all figured out, which would be quite ironic, I think. You know,
No home games. When you think about it, who's going to root for the Oakland Rays?
it's like a traffic accident. Some people stop to see it.
Did you say Oakland A's? No, Oakland Rays.
Oakland Rays. You can call me. Their tagline is already. Well, you can call me Ray, or you can call me A. My name is Raymond A. Johnson. Um, yeah, that would be quite interesting. Well, you know what they could do? They could get. Is it Disney that does Raiders of the Lost Park? Because they could, just play 162 road games and just call themselves Raiders of the Lost Park, Rayders.
I like that.
It's the trough is closing on some of these sports teams, and I think that it's rightly so. You know, what is the average life of these stadiums? I mean, Safeco is coming up on 25 or whatever. T-Mobile is coming up on 25 years now. How long will it be until the Mariners start to say, "Well, we need a new stadium"? The old one is getting old.
Well, then you should have been saving your money so you could have a new stadium.
No, because
We,
they
we were
they
hoping
have
you would
a
pay for it.
they don't have any constriction on whether they can go find another municipality that will pay for a stadium, and that's something that they got to do, Michael. One law that has to be enacted is that you don't get federal money if you take a team from another city. You don't get a share of the federal grants that are out there. So go work a deal out with your city.
And the American League is facing a situation where two teams, the A's and the Rays, are playing in stadiums, one with a capacity of 14,000, the Giants AAA Stadium in Sacramento, and one with a capacity of 11,000, the Yankees facility near Tampa Bay. These are not profit-making decisions. This is a perfect way to get shortchanged on your traveling monies, on the profit, on the fees that are used to pay for all the expenses on the road, all those meals, all the chartered flights, all the hotels, all the extras.
Well,
You
yeah,
can't
and
pay that.
that's
You can't pay for that stuff with 11,000 paying customers.
and now they've upgraded the facilities, or they are in the process of upgrading the facilities in Sacramento, um, so that they can accommodate the A's up there. I don't know who's paying for that, but because major league clubhouses have certain standards, and as we know, because we've been to minor league clubhouses, it's not
No,
the same.
no
You
standard
know,
whatsoever.
the post game spread in a major league clubhouse is a spread. I mean, it looks like a buffet at a wedding. Depending on which town you're in. You go into the Rainiers clubhouse after a game, and there's a box sitting there with 25 Jimmy John sandwiches in it and a cooler full of beer.
On Saturday they get Wendy's.
Yeah, if they win all week, they go get them Wendy's or the Thai place or something like that. And a lot of those guys aren't making a lot of money, so the meals are more important to them. Those used to make me laugh when I would see the Major League Baseball players walking out of the clubhouse with one of those white containers with the food from the whatever the chef Jeremy was cooking, or whatever. And it wasn't that; it was also with the Seahawks too. They
Sure,
would have, you'd see those guys going out, with leaving practice with a huge thing of food,
doggy bag.
doggy bags. If
Because
you
those
know, whole
because
family,
because
guys making $1 million a year.
those dudes get hungry later. Believe me.
It's yeah. There comes a point where the metabolism, whatever it is, slows down a little bit. The next thing you know, yeah, you're eating. You're looking to eat. You are looking to eat, man. And
So who do the Jets
sometimes
play
you
next
don't want to
week?
go out and eat.
Who
Well,
do the Jets?
now they have Uber Eats and all that stuff, so they don't even have to leave the house.
Yeah. Who are the Jets playing next week?
Oh, does it matter?
Just so they can prepare some punchlines for the press conference.
Does it even matter at this point? I mean, the Seahawks, I could understand, but boy, the Jets, man, it's let me look real quick. Oh, they play the Dolphins.
That'll be a game of frustration and
Well, that's the game that always, it's like New England. There's always a little something between the Jets and the Dolphins. Um, and it will be in this house because we have Dolphins fans in the house, so it'll be. But I mean, the Dolphins ought to be able to. I mean, that's another game. Don't let the kids watch it. That's another game where you look at and you say, "Good Lord, man, is there any way you can protect our kids from something like this?"
please protect our children from football.
Yeah, please keep them away. So what do we have next week? Seahawks play the Cardinals, and then Sunday, December 15th, the Packers come to town.
Oh dear.
Um, let's see. Aaron Rodgers ripped for comments about the Jets teammates after loss to Seahawks.
He said some of it was his fault, but there's 11 guys on the field, so you have to spread your dissatisfaction evenly among my teammates.
There's 11 guys on the field. Sometimes it's my fault, and then sometimes the details aren't there. And so, well, he's not wrong. I don't know. I always look at the loss like that. I mean, it wasn't Aaron Rodgers' fault alone, but there's people. But the tradition in the game is that the quarterback steps up and takes the responsibility, right?
It's the star says it was on me, and I
Right.
was
He's making all that money.
I
I,
should
I,
have been
I
there
love it.
first.
So Sports Illustrated puts some people's. I don't know how they pick these people, but here's some guy named Brendan from New Jersey, and he's tweeting about Aaron Rodgers. This guy is a grade A piece of. If you're on the Jets, how can you take the field with him? Well, I don't know. And then Mark Checky says, "Bro proceeds to throw his teammates in the coaching under the bus." GTFOOH. Now I'm going to give you 2 days to tell me what the heck that means. I got no idea.
It's an abbreviation that Irish guys from New Jersey use all the time.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I like this one from Chris Jenke. Aaron Rodgers will be the first person to tell you it's not Aaron Rodgers' fault. See, that's it. The one thing about the New York fans is they're not just not going to take crap. They really hate people that throw other people under the bus. It's just not a thing you're supposed to do in New York.
And the Jets have run out of people to fire, so now they're going to have to find reasons to fire the kicker, find reasons to fire the strength and conditioning coach.
Well, it's just, I mean, right now they're working on firing, like I said before, they're working on firing the referees. That saw the penalties. Now, this Aaron Rodgers is going to get his. He's going to wish that when he left Green Bay, he just retired. He got himself a job at a hot talk radio station. Where he would have made big money.
A great
Some right wing
syndicated
lobby.
hate host. Hi, I'm Aaron. I'm your hate host.
Yeah, some lobbying group would have paid, or some lobby, or some think tank, conservative think tank would have paid him millions to do a radio show every day. Could have been the new Rush Limbaugh.
And it
Instead,
doesn't
he
hurt.
said, I like, I can go out there. I can still win. I can still do it.
Radio can be painful, but not as bad as getting hit 9 times during a game.
Man. Yeah, I mean, he got. Well, again, if your quarterback feels like that about you, Michael, are you protecting the guy? It's kind of evident that these guys don't go out and have meals together on the road or anything like that.
No, they're not a cohesive unit.
I mean, how many stories have we told in the past about, the offensive line, the quarterback takes him out, he buys him watches, they do this, they do that. I mean, the reason behind that is you want these guys on your side because any one of them holds your fate in their hand.
And when you lose a close one, that's when you take all the linemen out.
Right. What can we do better? How can we become a unit? How can we form a cohesive unit? Instead, this guy gets people fired. That's not what these people. That's not what these kids were taught. These young men. They were taught that you acknowledge your own mistakes, and you try to do, you move on. You try to do better. You try to figure out how to make it a unit, right?
You do not blame your teammates.
You don't blame people. You take the bullet, but there's some people that don't see that. They think that they're so good, and maybe he is that good. Maybe he does have a crappy offensive line around him, or receivers, or running backs, or whatever he's looking for. But good lord, you know, you don't you don't throw your own guys under the bus. You don't hurt your own people, because that's what causes discord on the team.
Well,
But if
part
you're
of
three
being
and eight, I guess does it really matter?
part of being a Trump head is that you always double down on it's somebody else's fault. Never your fault. Never going to be your fault. Never, ever, ever your fault.
That's an excellent point, Michael. I think that you bring up an excellent point. Is when you're in that world, you're not.
You're not at fault for anything. It's not your fault.
Yeah, I didn't do it. Somebody else did it. So anyway, a final note before we get out of here. Um, I have just been craving an egg cream for the last 2 days.
You're gonna have a hard time finding one in Seattle.
Yeah, no,
Maybe not impossible, but seeming difficult.
pre- fairly impossible. I mean, I've thought, used to be able to get them when Goldberg's that Jewish deli was over in Factoria, but it's gone now.
Well,
Um,
if you were going to make one, what are the ingredients for
well,
folks who don't
see,
know?
you need to make it right. You need the seltzer with the spritzer.
Yeah, old
You
fashioned
need the
seltzer.
fountain. If you can find a fountain that'll spritz you um, seltzer, you can do it. But the only ones that I see around here on the Coke machines are ones that spritz you water, not seltzer.
Oh,
Maybe if you have a tap with club soda in it, you can do it. So that's going to be my next little project. Is that by Wednesday I would like to try to have, and somehow the pour out bottle of club soda doesn't do the trick. And I've tried it, just pouring it out, shaking it and pouring it out to get the bubbles moving a little bit,
no,
and it doesn't do the trick. So I have to fix that, because I mean, I can get the milk and I can get the Fox's. You bet those aren't hard to find. But boy, oh boy, that if you ever told me that the seltzer would be hard to find, I'd tell you were crazy.
and
But you know what?
don't forget the egg that you don't put in there,
You don't put the egg in. You take the egg and you put it on the counter
and you leave it there.
and you leave it there. You don't mess with it. You don't put it in Aaron Rodgers' shoe, nor his pants, and
Well,
especially
you
not his
can.
jock strap.
Yeah, you can do that. You can do all three of those things if you want.
Yeah, I guess you could. I guess you could put it in his jock strap. That would be something that maybe some of the people he was chucking under the chicken coop um, would do.
What about historic hotel type bars that might have seltzer?
Well, we have to try historic hotel, maybe the Sorrento. Maybe they might have seltzer there. A lot of the hotel bars use the splits, the 7 ounce splits. The taps have really kind of fallen out of favor because of problems with the piping.
Yeah,
The bacteria builds up in the piping, so they're really kind of fallen out of favor in favor of bottles.
and it's always one of those buttons that tastes awful.
Yeah, yeah. No matter what, usually the ginger ale one, for some reason,
They can't
the
get it right.
ginger ale button has always, I don't know, it just never really goes anywhere. So you're better off get your ginger ale out of a bottle.
Yep.
than you are. By the way, we did that this weekend. We had a little Shirley Temple party. We made Shirley Temples.
Oh, with real grenadine.
Yep,
Excellent.
we didn't mess around, man. We when we were kids, we had the Shirley Temple party, and we recreated it. The only thing that was missing was Barbie. Or no, my sister wasn't a Barbie fan. She liked Ginger, which is a long gone um, doll that was made in the Cosmopolitan Toy Company of Brooklyn, New York.
Whoa.
Made the Ginger doll.
Have all your guests gone home?
Yes, everybody's left the coop. Everybody's back at work, and everybody is left me here to clean up the mess, which I'm happy to do because I had the best thing as you did. The best thing you can have at Thanksgiving is not a big turkey, not a lot of money. The best thing you can have is your family around you.
Right.
That's you don't do better than that. So, all right, Michael, you want to do this again Wednesday?
Let's make it a wacky Wednesday, shall we?
Make it a wacky Wednesday. We'll see what happens tonight. We got the big start of the 90-day fiance um, back at the club, wherever that club is that they go. They have a couple of the really strange couples are on this year, so it'll be
My,
interesting to watch.
my advice for them is a repeat of what I said before Thanksgiving. That is, you should have stood in bed.
Should have stayed home. Should have stayed in your country. Stayed home. Stayed in bed. Maybe that's who they'll line up first for the immigration thing. They'll go gather up all the 90-day fiance.
The washouts. You
Watch it.
washed out a 90-day fiancé to the border with you. But I'm not from Mexico. Well, you soon will be.
You soon will because we're sending you somewhere. But I'm from Sweden. Doesn't matter. We're sending you to Mexico.
How about Guatemala? It's the best I can do.
What do you think about Panama? Well, I hear that the Horaches are good. Well, all right, you better hope so because that's where you're going. Next,
You can share an apartment in Georgetown with Cash Patel. He'll grow on you. You'll see.
yeah, that's what I'm afraid of is that he might grow on me.
Take root.
This is not going to be pretty. All right, man. I'll see you on Wednesday if the Lord's will and the creek don't rise. Mikey,
Vinny,
peace, love, Manischewitz, baby.
and the party's not over, so it's still quite a wine.
See you, pal.
See you
Thank
then.
you all for listening too, man. We'll catch up with you on Wednesday right here with Michael Knight in New York, Vinny.
At 10:10 or later.
Yeah, around 10. We're retired, so we don't,
10:10
get there when we
yourself.
get
Off you go.